Everyone, and welcome to Around the Metaverse, our weekly show where we bring together some of the best content creators from the blockchain and NFT gaming community, talk about all the recent news, and give you guys everything you need to know to stay up to date. My name's Adam. I'll be your host today. But more importantly, as always, we've got a great group of guests for y'all. First and foremost, you know him, you love him, the best mustache in the West. We got Crypto Stash in the house. How's it going, man?
It's me. They love me. They love me. What's going on, guys? Back at it again. Monday, never a dull day in crypto. Never. Doesn't matter what's going on. Like every once in a while, I'm like, man, there's not much going on. And then all this. Then something's like, all right, no, hold my beer, man. I got this. Like we got them to top you from whatever it was that you were still thinking about. That was the last travesty that we saw here in crypto. If that wasn't fresh enough, we got mofo you.
Yeah, the market's tanking, but at least everyone's got their popcorn and ready to watch it all unfold, right? So, Stash, thanks for having you, man. Of course, your show, but we got a great group of guests for you. Yeah,
thanks for having me. I'm appreciative of me being here.
But we got a great group of guests for y'all today. We got some returning faces for their second appearance on Around the Metaverse here. We've got Iceyyy Gaming, founder of Web3 Gamer and content creator. How's it going, Iceyyy?
It's going well, man. Staying alive out here. Excited to be back. Thank you for having me.
Of course, man. We've got an old friend of the show and a returning face, PandaPops, community manager for the Sandbox game and an amazing voxel artist. How you doing tonight, PandaPops?
I'm doing great, thank you. You guys keep having me on, and I absolutely love it. And you're always like, oh, sorry about the time, but it's fine.
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I heard you're working the late night schedule these days, so it works out, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Got back from Montreal, and I've just not gone back to a normal time zone at all.
Hey, well, the night owls, are the ones that are getting the most done at these hours of the night, So
True.
We appreciate to have you, PandaPops. Thanks for sticking with us. And then last but certainly not least, we got Igor from Igor's NFT Life for a second time on Around the Metaverse as well. Happy to have you back, man. Thank you for coming. How you doing tonight?
Yeah, thanks for the invitation. I agree. I think surviving is the name of the game right now, but it's certainly not boring. So get your popcorn out and let's discuss all these things because there's more than enough headlines to go around to talk about here.
So yeah, we've got, obviously, I'm sure some of y'all can tell by the thumb and title of this episode what we're going to be covering today, but we've got a couple other stories to touch on as well. We're going to be talking about games going Web 2 and Web 3. A quick story about one of our favorite Gala games, Superior, that's going to be launching on Steam, which was, something that we didn't expect to happen because they had banned NFT games. Obviously, we're going to be talking about the continued FTX drama and how that's developed over the past 7 days. And a lot has happened, let me tell you, since last Monday. And then lastly, we're just going to be talking in general about what might happen here in a prolonged bear market to the metaverse and Web3 games and what y'all think is going to happen. But let's dive right in. Or actually, before we dive right into things, if you haven't yet, go ahead and smash that like button. Show the YouTube algorithm who's boss. And as we get into all the crazy topics here, talking about FTX and Alameda and how things the sky is maybe falling, but we'll see what happens here. So first and foremost, games going Web 2 and Web 3. So for those of you who might not know, Steam probably Steam is arguably, versus with Epic Games Launcher being the second maybe. Steam is, I'd say, the largest marketplace for buying games for traditional, PC gamers right now. And a few months back, back when in the golden days of Web 3 and the bull market, they made a pretty controversial choice to ban NFT games outright from their platform when that was the all the rage. Everyone was like, NFT games, hell yeah. Steam was like, hell no.
Well, I don't know if everyone was like, hell yeah. But
well, we were all like, hell yeah.
We were. It was us four here. Yeah, let's go,
guys. The peanut gallery here was shouting hell yeah. But basically what happened is one of our favorite games from one of our favorite publishers, Gala Games and Projects, Superior, and arguably probably one of the top, what you'd consider what you'd want to have a AAA Web3 game to look like, is coming to Steam now. But the caveat is there's going to be no blockchain, no NFT, None of that in the game whatsoever. So users who play through Steam are just going to be shit out of luck. Well, so Stash, let me get your opinion on it, man. I mean, you seem to think this is not. You seem to think this is not a great decision. So, I mean, let me ask you, is it a good idea for Gala to be releasing a Web 2 version of Superior on Steam? Like, why do you think that's like? Why boo?
I think it's horseshit, man. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's a stupid move. And okay, here's why. So I understand why. First off, I understand why they want to go this direction, because obviously being on Steam gets you the exposure, right? That you want to have for any game. You know, when there's lots of competition out there and you're not on the biggest site where the most people are going to find their games, then you are losing out and you're losing that competition. So I get the motivation, but I think what it does is it just kind of waters down the message, you know? And then to me, what that seems like is like, okay, well, we're gonna make a game that incorporates NFTs and uses blockchain technology, but it's gonna be so centralized that if a centralized platform says we can't do it, then we'll just give them this alternative version, which will be separate and completely, different as far as stats go and accounts and things like that. You're gonna end up with. Essentially kind of two separate versions when it comes to those things. They did say that you could still play together, but just the fact that they would disable it for anybody who's not playing on Steam just feels like it goes against the kind of ethos. And it's like, okay, well then why did you decide to incorporate NFTs into your game in the first place? Was it because it was really solving a problem that gamers actually have and that you think that it can actually do that, like solve some more problems? Or did you do it because of the money? And that's what it looks like to me. It looks like, okay, well, we did this for the money, and so wherever we can get some extra money by saying, oh, you get these cool NFT features by doing it over here and buying these NFTs, versus like, oh, well, you buy it over here and there's no NFT action. It doesn't really bother anything, which is great, but sacrificing those ideals and that ethos to have that exposure to me, just kind of like I said, it just rubs me the wrong way a little bit, man. Rubs me the wrong way.
I mean, maybe Gala, maybe they want to have their cake and eat it too, right? It's not
Well, and that's what I'm saying. That's what they're trying to do. But I'm telling you, man, like, I feel like that kind of undermines a little bit. And it says like, okay, well, why are we doing this? Are we doing this to solve problems? Or are we doing this because it's a cash grab? Because we can, we understand this is a new way to extract value from people and from gamers, and it's high dollar, and we can get a lot of money this way. So that's kind of the what it looks like to me too. Like, because if you're not going to go full force and say, oh no, that's fine, if you're not going to accept the way we built this game, the reason why we built it, then we're not going. Then why would we sacrifice those ideals just so we could be on your platform? Like, I feel like that's kind of like, it's sacrificing a little bit of like what you stand for.
Yeah,
I'm confused why they're doing it that way, because Steam actually has NFT games on there, whether they want to admit it or not. They've got Crypto Space Commanders. True. Untamed Isles is basically what Untamed Isles is doing by Fat Loot Studios is you can enter without needing to be involved in crypto. You then just choose if you want to have the NFTs and things like that. So I don't understand why Gala wouldn't do it the same way that these other companies are doing it, which is you can play without the need of crypto, but you can still have that implemented through Steam. Look, not exactly through Steam, but it's still the game that you play that you can just get the NFTs from playing it normally. Mm-hmm. So I don't understand why they're doing it that way. But
no, like with some of those other games, like if you're playing it through Steam, you don't get any access to the NFT features. Like you can't go in. What's that?
You do. With Crypto Space Commanders, 100%. You can play that. You start.
That game's done though. I thought the game was like done.
It is a little dead. It'll come back.
I didn't think they still had the servers up for that game still. Like,
they are. I pop into it every now and again. But no, with that one, it's okay, technically you need to go to their website to mint the asset, but you can buy all of the NFTs through the game on Steam.
Okay.
So you know what? Maybe I'll take a little bit of a counter stance here, because so with this timing and the market we have right now, I personally am thankful for like every single user that will try out some of these games. I get that it kind of goes against the crypto native ethos and everything, but as long as it's interoperable and they don't completely trash the NFT features, I personally am kind of a fan of the fact that, okay, maybe just take the NFT features away and then open it up to the masses, and then those people can play together. And then you can always switch, right? You could download the launcher and the client yourself. I think that's kind of a nice model for the transition phase, because yes, the dream is everybody just directly hops to the fully decentralized version, but I don't know, we kind of need these on-ramps, and this is a step in the right direction, I guess, for now. So that's kind of where I stand.
Well, yeah, and I wouldn't say it's a fully decentralized, game, or even from the Gala standpoint, of it not being through Steam. But Iceyyy, go for it. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, all good, all good. I agree with Igor. It's like that meme. Why not both? If nothing else, I think it's a great A/B test. There's no reason not to. If it works, great. Brings more people into Web3 gaming. Eventually, maybe, right? Even if it's 1%, somewhere between 1 or 10%, any user, like Igor said, helps our network effects. Worst case is that it doesn't work, and guess what? Everything else will still be fine. So I think it's a good marketing strategy. Honestly, I think it's a Trojan horse for potential users to find their way into Web3 gaming.
Well, yeah, and I agree with you both there too. And it's like, my thing is, why is Steam not just totally backtracking on their stance here? Because like, are people not? I mean, hopefully the goal for Gala with this is to convert the people that come to Steam over to their own native users on the Gala launcher and platforms that they set up for the game. But like, why would Steam be okay with that? You know what I mean? Like, why not just why have the game on just to have users go somewhere else later to spend money that they could be spending on Steam, if Steam would just be like, all right, sure, full game, full NFTs, we're in. We already offer badges and things like that to people in the games that just aren't like our collectible little badges, which are just not on a blockchain. So it's like, what's the deal here?
Well, and two, what I was kind of talking about, and which makes sense, like if you can access the NFT features through the Steam version, then I'm okay with that, and I'm totally on board with that. So don't get me wrong here, where I was saying like I don't feel like they should do it. Period. If you can access the NFT features through Steam, then I think that makes sense. I just don't think that you should be building a game that you build as an NFT game that you sold NFTs for, and then you decide, okay, well, we're going to make a version that exclusively has none of those features in it, just for marketing purposes. Somewhat kind of alienating a little bit of, I think, that community. And in Superior's case, they did say that it was going to be essentially you have two progressions as your character, and like one is the NFT one, and that's the one that won't be on Steam. I think there's segregation. If that's going to be the trend, I'm not on board with. If you can go through to Steam and you can still access all the NFT stuff through that version, then yeah, that's fine. That's essentially what we're looking for, right? I mean, that's essentially Steam saying, yes, you can have a game that uses NFTs, and I don't know what it is, what features they're seeing that crosses their line, but apparently none of these ones that are on right now have really done that, which is weird, because they've definitely made news of like kicking games off of Steam in the past year and a half or so.
Space Misfits, for whatever reason. Wasn't Space Misfits one that got booted?
Yeah,
I think so.
No, not Space Misfits. It was the other one from Engine.
The puzzle game, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, if that is the case, though,
Age of Rust. It was
Age of Rust. If that is the case, though, I mean, what? I just don't understand Steam's motivation behind letting this happen. And you're right, Stash, because if it is the case that they can't use, if it's two progressions and the NFT features are disabled for Steam users, I don't know how if they had to put development resources to building that separate version of the game, which I mean, at least some probably. And like you're saying, that's just a straight up disservice to the people who are paying for the NFTs for the original version. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? So because if you're making two different games, not different games, but there has to be some different functionality. If your original game was essentially relying on NFTs, and NFTs being a central part of character progression or of skins or whatever it may be, then like you said, all these people have bought these NFTs supporting being used for the game, and then now it's like, okay, well, we're going to make this standalone single version for Steam, and you could have just waited and played that and not spent $200 on your PFP that's now worth 10.
And
I mean, the idea
not interoperability with anything else yet, at least.
I mean, the idea is that the people who are playing the Web3 version will have benefits for being in the Web3 version with ownership over their assets. Ideally, right? But if Gala thinks that Superior is that great of a game that it can, be a Trojan horse and bring a bunch of Web2 people, into their ecosystem and onboard them onto Superior, and they have a great time playing Superior, and they level up and they get these achievements, and then they learn like, oh, hey, that achievement, that badge, that special gun, whatever it was that you ended up earning, you can actually own. If you were playing the NFT version this whole time, you could actually own that. And look, that gun or that skin is selling for $50 on the Gala marketplace. Like that can be a eye-opening experience for a lot of gamers. So I hear what everyone's saying on the panel here, but me, I just don't mind it. I don't mind it. I hope it's a win, and I think that we have nothing to lose. I mean, Stash, you bring up some good points. There's some concerns over developer resources and things like that, which I think is fair. But if Gala wants to be, I mean, they're huge. They got a lot of funding. If they want to run this test, I don't mind it, and I'm curious, and I'm excited to see what happens.
I mean, I'm curious too, but I think if we're looking at it from people already in Web3, we get like, hey, we want the ownership over our NFTs, and that makes sense to us. And like seeing a Web2, like seeing them make a Web2 version and being like, they're going to onboard people. When you think about people with traditional gaming and you tell them, hey, like that League of Legends skin, wouldn't you like that to be like that you own that? For if you're bored of playing as Sona, that you can sell all those skins and you have that ownership. But to them, the majority just do not really care that much about it. They're happy to just waste their money and they don't care. I think as long as they can onboard at least 3% of people, probably done a good job.
But 3% would be great.
Yeah.
I mean, like seriously, if you think about like 3% of downloads from Steam, if you could onboard them into Web3, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know that I feel like it wouldn't be that much, man. I think that like because I don't know how you advertise that. Like I guess you do it in game, and you basically like you're FOMOing people who are not on the NFT side, and you're saying, here's what you get, here's the cool things, and you could be in the NFT side. But then like, what do they got to do now? Now they got to go download the game outside of Steam and redo it and like start over with the new progression and stuff like that. It doesn't carry over, So like, I don't know, man. That's a hard decision to say. All right, I've been playing this game. It's cool. It's fun. It's on Steam. Now I see this new thing. Now I got to go re-download the game client. And I mean, I don't know. Maybe you can just sign back into a new thing. I don't know, man, how that's going to work with NFTs, but I'm going to assume you have to start from the beginning, and you can't like apply your existing Steam levels to your NFT character. That'd be kind of sweet if you could.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
No, I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, I mean, I agree with Iceyyy, man. I think overall it's probably a good thing that they're doing this. But I will say there's a perspective that we are not thinking about here too, whereas like the game development studio behind Superior was not natively a part of Gala beforehand, like before they like became like they were developing that game before Gala came to the table, I believe. And like there might from the development studio side of things, like there might be push to go onto Steam also. Whereas say like you said, Stash, maybe Gala's does want to like is holding the opinion of like we'd rather not launch on Steam to preserve like the reason like our value of like what we're bringing to this game from the blockchain side. But maybe the development studio wants to push forward with it from like
because like. They're already on Epic, and so they're on Epic with the NFT version, right? Now, I will almost argue that Epic is a better store to be on anyways, because there's not as much distraction on the Epic Game Store. It's a little bit more curated, right? I mean, not crazy curated, but a little bit more than the Steam store. And maybe you get a little bit more visibility and stuff there, and you still get high quality gamers and people trying to play that kind of game. But I mean, I get it. I in a perfect world, I would obviously want to have it to where it could be on Steam and you could access all the NFT features, and they just are like, yeah, NFT games are great. I mean, but I
get
think
on board, Steam. Just get on board already.
It's positive in general. That's what I'm saying. Just release a statement and say, we screwed up, guys. I'm sorry. Damn it. We were wrong. NFTs are the shit.
I don't think right now is when they're going to be putting out that statement, particularly. And
but I think this is how we get there.
Guys. coming up.
I think this is how we get there. If Superior grows to be a big game on Steam, then they have more reason to make that switch and embrace it. So it could happen.
But yeah,
Yeah,
and go for it,
sorry.
Igor.
There's one more angle here. I think that's the most interesting part because yes, it feels kind of weird going from like an NFT native game towards that. You're kind of backpedaling, right? It's kind of, as Stash said, it's not really native. It's not true to the project and everything. But I think it sets an interesting like precedent for the inverse case, right? Like a Web 2 game, kind of just adding that feature on top and proving that, okay, you can have this dual class citizenship type of situation where, okay, you have a normal game, but maybe as PandaPops brought up the example of League of Legends, I don't think they'll do it. That's a whole different example. But just adding that feature of, okay, so we have this new legendary skin and it's going to be a digital collectible. And if you like it or not, it's there. It doesn't take away anything from the game. But now we have this added functionality. And then the way you market it is, well, the way you market NFTs. You make the floor price go up and then everybody talks about it. And that takes care of itself, I guess. But I think that's interesting, that angle, like the backwards angle, Web 2 to Web 3, not the other way around. Yeah.
Well, and that's kind of what Adam was saying, is that's what Superior has essentially done. And that's what a couple of these other games have done as well. You know, we talked about this. Gala, has pivoted really to being a producer, a publisher of games. And so Spider Tanks was already in production. There was a team that was already had this like pretty close to being done. Same thing with Superior, already very, very close to being done. Grit, same thing. A game that was already in development, and close to being done. And so then they're just, so essentially it is taking a Web 2 game that was a Web 2 game and putting Web 3 on top of it, which is fine. It just sucks that we have to make sacrifices to be on these big platforms because they're just being jerks, dude.
Or jump through different types of hoops to appease them,
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Stupid, like hoops just for no reason, man. Just let's go. Open the floodgates, man. Let's go.
I mean, well, yeah, and Steam, I think eventually will pivot once the tidal wave of what's to come comes with NFTs and gaming. But I don't think anytime soon is going to be the time for that, and particularly because what we're going to get into right now here, which is the hot news on the block here. Everyone's talking about it. If you're not on Twitter and hearing about this stuff, then you're probably not even in crypto anymore. So I bet everyone watching
crypto, bro.
Yeah, I bet everyone watching knows exactly, or at least is almost up to speed on what's going on. And we literally are like minute by minute getting coverage on the FTX drama through Twitter and things like that. So last Monday we were talking about this a bit, like pretty much like the day before shit hit the fan. I'm pretty
it was like as the shit was hitting the fan, we were live, and so we didn't see all the shit hitting the fan, and we're like, hey guys, we see this shit sitting over here in front of this fan. I don't know, that seems a little sus, but what do you think? And then it was like, lo and behold, it was actually it was like seeing starlight. It happened 100 million years ago, but you're just now getting the light to you. That's kind of what
I was like, I can't wait for this to be the thing that lets me buy more cheap Bitcoin. And here we are, $15,000 Bitcoin, baby. Give it to me. But no, I mean, so yeah, I mean, just to bring you guys up to speed on what's been going on with the situation in crypto here, and we're going to be specifically talking about how that's going to be affecting some of our favorite gaming projects and ecosystems, specifically the Solana ecosystem and the games that are being built there, because that was one of Alameda's basically their investment brainchild. And what essentially has been happening is, a probe went out and discovered that Alameda and FTX's financials were not as stable as they claimed them to be. Binance and CZ from Binance came out and said he was going to be exiting his entire position of the FTX token, which was his founder venture startup capital for them before they were even one of the top exchanges in the world. And that basically set off that was the smoke. And that was the smoke that started to come up, and then the fire just totally broke out. FTT price dumping. News story coming out about an hour ago from the New York Times that Alameda lost billions of dollars during the big crypto crash on a bunch of ridiculous startups in Web3 that actually all ended up routing back to them in some kind of weird financial nonsense structure. Then when they got margin called for all the loans that they took out to make all these shitty investments, they used customer funds deposited on FTX to repay all of their their loans and their liabilities. And once the word got out about the whole situation, the bank run happens on FTX. Customers go to take their funds out. The funds aren't there, and that's really where we're at now. Is he going to jail or not? What's going down? And I want to get your guys' opinions on how this is going to affect projects like Solana, like I said, which were one of their biggest investments, and particularly some of the more ambitious games that were also a part of their investment network. So Igor, let me start with you, man. I mean, like, what are you up to speed on this? And like, what do you think the long-term impact of this situation will be for networks like Solana that were heavily invested in under Sam Bankman-Fried, FTX, Alameda, and particularly the gaming ecosystems or the games being built on Solana? How will they be affected by this situation?
It's obviously a tough question, but first of all, I think it's clear that the projects that had their funds with FTX, just like Star Atlas, they're not sitting so pretty, right? I think that is pretty clear. Then there's the question of the entire chain, if it has any worth. And at this point, it can only go one of two ways. Either it's going to shake off the entire weight that came with being under the umbrella of Sam and like his entire empire before the crash, or they're just going to go down with him. I think those are the two options. And especially because, as most people know, the name of Solana was already a little, tinted with that.
Tarnished,
with that whole, like, every time Solana came up, the first one, isn't that the chain that goes down all the time? That kind of became the go-to story, and this certainly doesn't help. So I think it's gonna go one of two ways, and it's gonna depend on the execution of the people that develop it and the projects on top of it. But just if I were to like found a game right now and I was in between the decision of going in on Solana or something like Polygon that is getting better every day and starting more and more partnerships, if you can get around like the technical differences, I think sentiment wise that's not much of a question. So I think it's just gonna it's really gonna work out for them, or it's just this might be the last chapter.
Well, yeah, and I agree with you, man. I'm pretty sure in terms of the technology side of things, there are other like layer ones chains that have comparable tech to Solana, and like one of the main reasons why a lot of projects that launched on Solana did so was because of the massive the massive deals that they were getting to allocations from different venture. I'm sure Alameda, and all of FTX's firms ushering them to be like, hey, come on our chain, or come on the chain where we're doing where we have all of our money parked for a large a significant percentage of our capital allocated.
Here's our shitcoin, a big old bag of FTT. Let's go.
Yeah.
I saw a tweet, and I don't know if this is true, but it was saying that FTX was investing in these games, right? Giving them all the money. Alameda, FTX, I don't know.
Same thing.
And then they were saying, hey, put your funds on FTX. So the game would put their funds on FTX, and then FTX would take that money, give it back to Alameda, and Alameda would go invest that same money into another project. So they were just kept rinsing, washing, and repeating. I don't know if that's true. It's a tweet. It's crypto Twitter. There's a lot of misinformation coming out right now. But yeah, I mean, out of all the craziness that we're hearing, I wouldn't put it past them. And that's how you get to a $10 billion hole.
Well,
maybe. I don't know.
And Brian Armstrong from Coinbase talked about it too, where he was like basically saying like Alameda and a hedge fund and a market, like you can't
Insane.
you can't own I mean, I'm no expert on this, but I'm pretty sure there's a conflict of interest in owning a market maker and a hedge fund at the same time. That
no, what?
No, just tiny bit.
Crazy that we accepted that for so long. We're just
and that's not even, that's like, we're forgetting, because you stole customer funds, we're forgetting that like not only did they take the funds from people, they took your funds and used your own money to trade against you. Like they literally took your money and then traded against you, knowing like the order book on what you.
Yeah, but then they still lost it anyways. Like,
and they still fucked it up. Like, come on, man, could it have been easier? You had everything in the palm of your hand. You had it all. We were eating like, and it was like, no. And then now, nothing. You got nothing.
It's so crazy.
You're eating
It's
on the
so
palm of your
crazy.
hands, SBF.
It's so crazy. I do think that Solana, I personally think that Solana can survive. And I saw a take that said that, ultimately Solana is supposed to be a decentralized layer 1. So in the future, they should be separated from FTX. So if they're able to sever ties now, this could end up being a good thing for them. I'm not very up to date on the Solana ecosystem. I do hear it's always going down and there's problems and it's centralized and yada, yada, yada. But there are a lot of people that are bullish on it, like Michael Wagner from Star Atlas. In his statement, he said, we're very bullish on Solana. We're not leaving the ecosystem. Yes, we took a big hit. They took, I think, like 50% of their runway was lost, which was like around $15 million. Because it was on FTX, which is really, really terrible. I mean, I don't know what you guys think about, the situation that Star Atlas is in, because they're the premier game there. But I mean, that's an interesting conversation. What do you guys think about that?
They kept their money on an exchange. I'm disappointed in them.
Yeah, I know exactly, right? Like disappointed. And damn you, Michael.
Well, what do you think they do? Can they bounce back? Like,
they're part of Animoca, and I believe they're gonna get. I don't know whether they'll get backing from them, but I feel like they're in a good position. Animoca's doing pretty well. Got some good games coming up. Star Atlas was gonna be one of them, or hopefully still will be. I think they've got a good product. It's just whether they can get the funds to continue that production. If they can, that's great, and I think they will survive it. 50% is a lot. I honestly, I hope they do, because I'm invested in Star Atlas. I think the idea of their game and what they want to create is really good. And first and foremost, I'm a gamer. I'm not a huge investor. I hold more NFTs than I do coins. So I invest in things that I think would be fun for me to play. Hopefully they pull themselves out of this hole, but we'll see.
Gen X Crypto in chat says, is this what they do in traditional finance? And the answer to that is yes, except in traditional finance, when some shit like this happens, Big Daddy government is there to bail them out.
They're like, it's okay, here's some free money.
Yeah,
the taxpayers are there to bail them out.
Thank you, Iceyyy. The Big Daddy government, i.e., the taxpayer, is there to bail them out. Us.
But there is, I don't know about in America, but at least in the UK, let's say your bank goes bust, the person is covered for at least 85K.
Yeah, we got insurance for 200,000 FDIC.
And I get that doesn't cover what all these guys have obviously lost, but you're at least covered to some extent. And with FTX, you're not covered at all. But also, I'm telling this to the people, don't leave your money on an exchange.
Not your keys, not your coins.
Yeah. There you go. Now, okay, so what I will say, and something that Iceyyy kind of hit on here real quick, and that I want to expand on, is that, actually, I think this is actually a good situation for Solana. As much as it's painful right now, I think that this is an opportunity to detach themselves from FTX, because that was the biggest thing. It was like, oh, it's centralized, FTX has their hand in this, and blah, blah, blah. This is a good opportunity with all the turmoil going on for the Solana communities to kind of band together a little bit more, and then take this on and try and, hopefully fix some of these elements and decide that hey, this is the next evolution of this blockchain, right? We're moving beyond what it was initially. And what I can say is that, in my opinion, Solana is a strong blockchain and a strong blockchain development system as well. A lot of good developers on Solana. I think more on Solana than there were on Luna, on Terra Luna. And we're still seeing Terra Luna survive after a catastrophic failure. I mean, we're still people out there still shouting Luna Classic, guys. Luna freaking Classic. They're still they're like Luna Classic, and they're serious about it.
I don't
Shout out
wish
to Classic Crypto.
I don't wish the fate of Luna Classic to be what Solana or Luna 2.0 or whatever to be the fate of Solana, man. Like what Luna
It's
Classic
not going
is,
to be.
is
That's
just
what
a,
I'm saying.
it's just
And that's what I'm saying.
a pumper. Like
well, and that's what I'm saying.
Classic.
I think that I think that there there's less turmoil that's actually coming to the Solana blockchain from this FTX drama than there was from what happened with Luna. But I'm just saying in general, this is an opportunity, I think, for the Solana blockchain to kind of distance themselves from that past of being the blockchain that goes down, of being the blockchain that's super centralized. This is an opportunity to take to kind of rebrand those things and say, hey, here's what we're doing to revamp things as a community to move this thing forward. And luckily, I think they have, good projects on there like Star Atlas and leaders like Michael who can, weather this type of storm and are not just going to collapse underneath the pressure, because a lot of other companies and a lot of other games would and have in the past under similar type of situations. Mm-hmm. So, little dicey still, but I think that there's a good opportunity here, and I think Solana will survive. I think that they'll do fine. I think that this is going to be not as big of a blip as we may think, actually.
We just need to wait for SBF to slowly sell off whatever percent of the circulating supply of Solana tokens he owns from whatever like basement jail cell and or like hideaway.
Yeah, how does that work?
Like,
if you're in jail, can you still sell tokens? I mean, I guess you get some internet access.
They got phones in jail, man. All you need is a phone. He built the backdoor login into their accounting software, man.
I know. You think he can do it from jail? He's like, I got this, man. I'm gonna get some more smokes and some ramen, guys. Hold on a second.
No, and so like I don't know what's up with that cryptic tweet either. That's like still unfolding right now too. Did you guys see that where like he just tweeted out like he's just tweeting out like random, like some kind of weird cryptic nonsense.
Well, it's either going to be what happens or what happened, which there's all sorts of conspiracy theories going on around that. But the last one was the N for what happened. So
what happened?
We'll see. Which is crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, I don't know.
Some weird shit, man. The conspiracy with that, the speculation on crypto Twitter right now is wild, but I want to ask you guys, I mean, not necessarily about like the ties to the government and all that crazy shit, but like if like a project like Solana or a blockchain like Solana and projects like Star Atlas are going to bounce back from this, like what is their next step? Like what is the most important thing for them to do right now?
Build.
Build. I mean, how about work? How about just work for like a few weeks straight?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of a clean slate, and some people in conversations have been and compared it to the DAO hack with Ethereum and everything. But there's two major differences here, right? Like Ethereum worked like pretty much flawlessly up until then, as expected, and secondly, it's the treasuries, right? It's the Star Atlas, the big one we know about, but pretty much, I mean, I can only imagine how many people that built upon top of Solana had their funds in FTX or either in Serum or like one of the related projects there. I mean, it's a very tight ecosystem, and all of it got hit really hard. Like FTX also held most of the Serum coins and everything. They were as deeply involved as you could be in the entire ecosystem, and I don't think that can be understated. So yeah, it's an opportunity for a fresh start and a clean slate, but just be clear on the financials and yeah.
I mean, it's going to take some time. It's going to take some time. I agree with Igor. This is a huge blow up in our industry. A lot of the takes saying that this set us back a few years. I do think Solana will survive, but it's going to take a lot of time. And if you're a game, I don't know why you would go to Solana to build or develop, even at this point. Like I agree with Igor. Immutable, Polygon, great platforms that are the clear winners here, having a lot of success. So I think people would build there, but nothing ever dies in crypto. So that's why I think Solana will survive and will have a redemption arc post FTX. But it's going to take a lot of time.
Yeah, it's just very unattractive for like new builders right now. If you have the choice, you see everything. It's like, really? Is this what we're gonna like put our lives on top of?
Anybody who's new is definitely not going to be building on Solana right anytime soon. But they do have a pretty strong base now. So I think that there's a strong enough base for it to continue forward. And like when you just kind of talk about in general how these bear markets affect these NFT games and like what they can really be doing. I mean, I think that it just goes to show that the same thing that we should be doing in a bear market, which is don't keep your coins on custody of the exchange. Keep them in your own wallet, probably a multi-sig if you're a big blockchain game or organization, right? And then two, also look at like what that overhead looks like. What is how much runway do you have? How long can you actually go? And then make the hard, tough decisions and buckle down where you need to make sure you can survive as a company and continue to put out whatever product it is that you're doing. Because if you to sacrifice one person's fate for the hope of many people in the future, I think is unfortunate. But in the bear market, sometimes you have to do it, man. And I think that we'll see a lot of these Solana projects understand that now with the price of Solana being down so much. You just got to think like, well, if as a project you're getting most of your revenue in Sol, and you know what I'm saying, and the same amount of revenue is coming in, but it's worth not 80% less than it was just a few weeks ago. That's a pretty tough decision. I think a lot of NFT projects and metaverses and games are going to have to make coming here. Someone said, oh, well, Star Atlas still has 15 million, which is kind of funny because if they had 50, when I've talked to Michael, he said that they've raised over $200 million in sales for Star Atlas. So if they have 15 million in reserve,
they'd be spending a lot. Maybe spending a lot.
I know. I'm like wondering where's the other couple like 150 plus million, but that's for another conversation. I think they'll be okay with such a big runway like that, but some other projects probably won't. Even some property ones.
Well, yeah, and especially like on the Solana ecosystem too, there was like all of the predatory like gamified DeFi games, which were just basically token schemes for SBF and them to take your money even more are done. And I think like I think it's done that that being a trend in Web3 games just in across blockchains in some instances. But this specifically, I mean, I think tarnishes the name of or like sets us specifically people trying to push Web3 games forward back as well. I mean, PandaPops, like, do you think this whole situation has affected, like, say, traditional gamers already, like, on the Twitter circles or the social circles outside of crypto, even non-crypto people are talking about this shit, right? And like even worse things are being said.
They are actually,
no. So, well, yeah, 100%. I mean, like traditional gamers and just non-crypto people already had a bad view over crypto as it was. If people, media showing people buying like 50 million for an ape picture wasn't painting as bad enough, it's this all happening. So yeah, it's definitely tarnished people's opinions and maybe even onboarding, and all we really can do is try and educate people, point people in the right direction on the right way to go about things. And obviously always assess your risk tolerance. For me personally, I don't invest anything that I'm not happy to lose. Like, will I be sad if I lost my portfolio? Sure. Yeah. But also I invested money that I was happy to invest in. And I think it's more about being able to educate these people and hoping that we get a bounce back and not just keep having in the media it showing like either these huge scams constantly. We need some good press. We need something good to come along to be like, hey, look at what we've done. Look at what is being successful and working well, which I think we're a little bit far from reaching that point to be able to show like something really big and successful, being like, look, this has been working for a couple of years. Look at how well it's been built and it's been stable. But I believe we'll eventually get there. But in terms of being able to change public's perception, it is just going to be a case of talking to them and educating them.
Yeah, and I hope that on the one side that we can do that for retail people, but on the other side, like, I hope we can do that for regulators too, because right now we're we're in a bad way when it comes to like having the benefit of the doubt when you take this conversation to, at least here in the U.S., the SEC or any of the other, acronym agencies that deal with, currency and financial issues like that. It's funny too that like SBF was, kind of closely tied to Gary Gensler in some ways, and also was working on, the policies and things that they were trying to push through or have been pushing through as well.
Shit is so crooked, man. Like all the how deep this shit runs is like crazy, man. And I bet it's like even worse than what we see and what we know, because it always is. Like every time, it's always worse than what you see. Like whatever it is that you see in the media, whatever they know, like when it comes out, like here's this scandal, guys. Here's what happens. It's always worse than what you've seen. Like always.
Well, yeah,
there's always something that somebody's not telling, or that doesn't make it out, or whatever it may be. And so, yeah.
Someone was saying on Twitter, like that the most recent, at least before we went live, like update from this whole situation was the New York Times article that came out like a couple hours ago. And someone on Twitter was like, "Man, it's really a New York Times interview with SBF directly, and that chick or whatever, Caroline, I think." And basically, like some guy on Twitter was like, it's really funny how like eager they were to admit to the New York Times that they like, took customer funds and used them for, paying back their loans and shit. Like if that's what they're willing to tell the New York Times, like what aren't they telling, you?
I guess, man. Or maybe that's the plan, is they did some shit that was way worse and they're just like, hey, all right, guys, this is the plan. Tell them about this stuff. And it seems really bad to them. And they'll never even be on to us about this other really, really horrible shit we were doing behind the scenes.
Yeah.
We're talking about
always that in interviews was stating that, hey, I'm in the Ponzi business and it's great, essentially.
Yeah, that like Spaces, that there was like a day-long Spaces where, basically like scammers were trying to basically like give their advice on what the next move should be, all the while like they're the ones perpetrating all the scams and are tied to this whole situation in the first place.
It's fun. Yay.
It's fun if you're here for the if you're here for the long run, and you could sit back and get your popcorn and watch the situation unfold. But it's not fun for everyone who lost money. And
you're right. And the thing is too with Solana, it's a newer blockchain, so it hadn't really gone through a major bear market before. And like when you look at all these major blockchains, right, every major blockchain is marred with some sort of like horrible something that happened, or some sort of a catastrophic event, or what I'm saying, something that happened to like put it, something to do it on the map. And so now Solana has theirs.
Yeah, trial by fire, baby.
It's not even direct. It's not even direct, but they got it. I don't know.
The entire industry has it, right? Like the entire ecosystem, everything that we're trying to do in Web3. I mean, that was one of the big takeaways for me. And I think of Star Atlas as the unfortunate example, and my heart goes out to, everyone involved with that. But why was so much of the project's funds on a centralized exchange, right?
Yeah.
Where this black swan event could happen. This is supposed to be crypto. Don't trust, verify. So, we've all been on this roller coaster for a little while. The OGs and even the new people. I mean, it's never been more clear to me of like, on chain, verify, like, I'm not trying to trust anybody or any project, any founder. People are fallible. Code is law. The smart contracts, they didn't break. They didn't commit fraud. The people did. Sam Bankman-Fried did. People made mistakes. And going forward, I'm looking for games that have their treasuries, handled by a multi-sig, are on chain, are verifiable, are auditable by the DAO if they have a DAO governance, and things like that. I think that we as gamers, as content creators in the space going forward, I'm going to be pushing games and encouraging them to take these kinds of steps and these kinds of moves to ensure that customer protection, that gamer protection, that type of scrutiny and accountability and responsibility.
Yeah. I think that totally makes sense, and it's something I'd like to see more games doing as well. Seeing maybe just even having a page on their website, and what we could really do actually is have an applet, man, like a little snippet of code that people could copy and paste that they could add to their website that connects to whatever specific blockchain that they're on, and just has, you know, ways to be able to pull this types of data where you're inputting the stuff, saying here's our wallet, here's our thing where our funds at, and then it just shows it in a nice way on like your website or whatever, right? So then it's just there, and you can always go and verify it, and then you can press the link that takes you directly to the blockchain explorer to see the raw data. But this little applet is just always pulling that kind of stuff, showing you those things. I mean, why not? You know, it's a pretty easy thing to do. You know, to be able to grab that kind of data dynamically and show all these things transparently on your website. It doesn't need to be hidden. It can be a proud feature. You know, boom, here's our account. Here's how much it is. Here's the account numbers. This is a multi-sig account with these things going on there. So you're right. People understand, they can see the transparency. That's one of the best things about crypto in general, you know, coming to lots of different areas, is the transparency abilities.
Yes. And there are some games that are doing that, and shout out to them. I know of one. I'm not going to plug or shill because it's
no, shill away, man. I want to know who it is who's doing a good job of it.
Well, I'm a brand ambassador for Decentral Games, and they have their treasury public. It's on their website. You can go see their
okay,
their
all
data.
right. I'm just kidding. Set up, sucker. I set you up. No.
But people were in
No,
my
that's good.
comments
That's cool.
saying,
They do that,
saying
yeah.
that same thing. They're like, oh, like they tag the founder. Hey, would you be willing to do this? And they're like, bro, we already do it. So, you know, it's a multi-sig. It's on chain. You can verify it. And there's other projects that do that as well. And I think all games should. You need the transparency.
Well, yeah, it's like if you've got nothing, like, you know, you've got nothing to hide if you're not guilty of anything, right? So like any project that isn't actively doing that, you should be suspicious of, you know, like, and it's like you say, why did Star Atlas have all of their, you know, all of their funds or half of their funds on FTX? It's because, one, I bet there was some kind of, they had, FTX has a yield program, one.
Right.
Two, you know, SBF, it was just like, here, I need some more I need more liquidity for my trades, man. I scratched your back, you scratched mine, dog. I scratched your back, you scratched mine.
Brutal.
The money just goes in circle and circle and circle.
One interesting factor is if you look at the NFT space and the so-called whatever blue chips, I don't know, I hate that term at this point, but the big projects, the big caps, none of them got hit with this. That's an interesting, like, you know, those are like the truly like crypto native people, and it seems like the people in charge there got at least something right. So I don't know. I think that's a positive.
Yeah.
And definitely communicates like treasury management, right? It says something about the project and the founders, how they approach it, but it's just different if you're like kind of like backed by FTX in every way possible. You're on their chain, you're backed by them, and that's just a different beast.
Yeah, you're gonna have to make those sacrifices to get that money. And some people did, and then they paid the ultimate price. And you know, to be honest, man, if I was doing a project and FTX had approached me and said, "Hey, here's some money," to like, I probably would have been in the same boat, man. I mean, I wouldn't have liked the fact that if they specifically like requested me to keep my company funds on their exchange. That shit sounds shady as fuck. But you know,
I mean, that's the type of shady shit that sounds like it's coming to light here, you know. So
yeah.
But I don't know, man. We feel for all you guys out there who were affected by this situation. I mean, I'm sure some of us were a little bit too, either directly or indirectly. I mean, actually, we probably all are affected by this indirectly in some way. But you know, we'll bounce back from this. And like PandaPops was saying too, like the way to win in this crypto game is to well, in investing in general, is to not invest more than you're willing to lose, and like not invest more than you can bounce back from, because you know when shit like this happens, you know, so long as you're not totally out of the game and screwed, you know, in life and financially and things like that, if it's not totally crushing, you'll be able to bounce back. And then if you are totally crushed, man, like reach out to someone for help. You know, there's, you know, call one of your friends, a loved one, any resource you have to help, man. Don't be ashamed of what might have happened or what did happen, because the most important thing is you know, getting back on track, right? That's what we're all going to do here in crypto, man. We're here to stay. We're just going to keep on building and hopefully
each other.
Eventually, not hopefully, eventually things will turn around. But that is all we have for y'all tonight. Running out of time here, so we're gonna hop off. I want to thank you guys, the guests, Iceyyy, Igor, PandaPops, Stash, for joining us tonight. And thank y'all for sticking around with us and watching out there. Before we head out, don't forget to hit subscribe if you haven't already. And more importantly, don't forget to hit the description and go to the links to all of our friends' channels here and support them as well. But that's all we have for tonight, folks. We'll catch you guys again next Monday for another episode of Around the Metaverse. That's all. We out.
Bye.